that the government should hike the gasoline tax by $1 a gallon to get people more plugged into, I guess, plug-ins like the Volt. Jonathan Hoenig says GM is getting desperate to sell votes, even if it means we have to pay more to buy them. He's joined by Lizzie McDonald and Maegan Carberry. Maegan, begin with you. I thought of this GM CEO hurting his own sales of some of those more gas-guzzling SUVs he sells.
Right. I mean, this guy is not the right spokesperson here for an efficient fuel economy. It's hard to take someone seriously when the government is running your business for you.
So you think he's doing this at the beck and call of the administration?
That's a possibility. But I think that the issues here are not necessarily about you know, how the car will sell, but the fact that we need more Americans to use fuel-efficient vehicles, and the government needs to do more to pursue how we're going to get people buying these things. And whether this guy's calling for it or not, I mean, I don't necessarily listen to him as the source.
Yeah.
But there does appear to be a conflict of interest here a little bit.
But is that up to the government at all?
Yeah, that is the issue. It's the government is saying to the car makers, you got to have more fuel-efficient cars in 5 years' time for light trucks and SUVs that everybody wants, but it's going to become more expensive. They got to get now 35 miles to the gallon, I think, in 5 years' time, possibly 62 miles to the gallon for light trucks and SUVs and by 2025. So the automakers are in a bind. They're saying no one's going to be lining up. They'd rather people forget life would be easy for them. Hang on. GM is saying life would be easier if people forgot about these more expensive SUVs and trucks because of the fuel efficiency standards. And that's why he's saying, I'm not agreeing with them. I'm saying that's why we got, you know, raise the gas taxes. Maybe people buy, you know, the Chevy Volt.
Right. But those cars aren't going to sustain themselves. Something has to
Let's just make it a law.
Well,
let's just make it a law that says you have to buy the Volt. Right? I mean, people don't want this car, Neil. They're selling like 200 of them a month. I mean, sales are zero.
Well, the White House bought 100 of them. The White House just bought 100 of them.
Bingo, there's half your sales for the month. I mean, this has turned into the most disgusting example, Neil, the most blatant example of corporate cronyism you can imagine. I mean, as if the $50 billion bailout was enough. Liz, I know you wrote about that at Fox.com. We're losing money on that. Cash for clunkers, the low-cost loans. I mean, what more can we do to prop up this terrible example of corporate cronyism? Stock at a new 52-week low today.
Jonathan, that's ridiculous, though. I mean, how long are these cars going to sustain themselves on the roads? They're not going to. So we need to...
Wait, what cars? I have a Honda for 13 years now.
The big gas guzzlers.
And you think a car that you plug in will?
You know, we have to do something and start changing the way people approach driving, approach consuming oil in this country. Or
that's fine. I mean, more conservative fuel vehicle, that's fine.
So
but is a plug-in car the answer? I mean, when we have all these hybrids that are out there and doing quite nicely, thank you.
I think this is part of a larger portfolio of new options that people should be considering.
You know, even before the bailouts, GM was a dysfunctional company. It has shown a consistent track record of never returning shareholder capital, of never returning shareholder value.
But this is more than shareholders, and I guess, and I do want to follow up on this point.
Well, we're the biggest shareholders now, the U.S.
You're right about that, but I am wondering if you're forcing people to pay more in gas, hiking gasoline taxes, to force you to buy a vehicle that is stupid. Exactly. Who does that help?
Well, it gets cars that are guzzling gas off the roads and gets people, you know.
Yeah, but there are other vehicles that'll do that without any credits or mandates or forced higher prices for gas. I mean, a vehicle that you have to plug in, the American people have already weighed in on this and say it's stupid.
Well, you know, this is one thing out of a large portfolio that people can look into, and
we're trying to incentivize nonsense stuff. That's like someone saying, Neil, we will pay you $100 a salad bowl to eat salad. And you know what? I still won't do it. So I'm just thinking.
But salad is not the same as the future of our energy.
Well, you know, actually, it's the same roughage going down. And I think that it sends a message that, wait a minute, I'll do what I want. I'll do what I want.
That's absolutely true, but we have a collective action problem on energy as an issue.
So the collective action problem is to force the government to hike our gas taxes so that we can collectively do what they want us to do? What are we, drones?
Well, we're not making progress on the energy economy.
Have you seen these Volt cells? They're not making progress. But Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. You know, the fact that the volt, the fact that it's not economical doesn't make a difference. I mean, even the head of GM said it today, the fact that the government's losing money on this program, it doesn't matter to them. I mean, that's the goal of the environmental agenda, is basically to hurt people's productivity. I mean, you talk about using gases.
The environmental agenda is not to hurt people's productivity.
Well, but
it's
you're making it more
the planet.
expensive for them to get to work, Madeira. You're making it more expensive
new
for them
markets
to
in a
live their
downtrodden
lives.
economy that has no
But can
jobs.
the government create new markets?
You know, it's definitely possible here that this could be something that.
Look at, it's not happening without a lot of taxpayer money.
$5
It's not
a
happening
gallon.
without a lot of taxpayer money being pumped into GM and into Chrysler. I mean, that's what's happening. GM's getting a lot of tax breaks, and it's gotten $50 billion in help. It may never pay back the U.S. taxpayer, ever.
We don't know, Megan.
Well, that is an outrage, and
yes, it is. It is an outrage. Guys, seriously, thank you all very much. Okay, now.